I wanted to talk to you about a call that I had with a VIP Mastermind mentee yesterday, Christmas. And yes, there are a couple of spots in the VIP Mastermind. So if you want to understand what that program is, go over to brucewhipple.com, take a look at the VIP Mastermind under coaching, and that'll give you the details. But it's something that in my discussion with him happens with other mentees quite a bit. And that is that this process is hard. So they meet with rejection, they meet with things that don't work, and they begin to sometimes say, can I do this? And recently I put out a couple of videos on Tom Brady and how he came back from his 28-3 deficit in the Super Bowl and what he thought about failure. And I would refer to it not as failure, but as temporary defeat. But in the discussion with the mentee yesterday, we talked about what his past was. And it was just a thought I had. And it really was back from his days when he was a motocross racer. And I was thinking about, where he is today, where he was then, and how he can recapture the work ethic and the drive that he had back then. Can you recapture your glory days, basically? And so in those days, he was young, and he would work as a motorcycle mechanic during the day. He would then go to school in the evening. He would finish up pretty close to midnight. He would go work out in the gym, then usually work a little while on his motorcycle, roll into bed around 1 or 2, and then be at work at 7. And he was telling me about one of the races that he ran. And in that race, it was motocross. It was totally mud. They tried to clear it out. He was a beginner. His bike wasn't the best compared to some of the other competitors. But ultimately, he won that race. And the reason that we got into that discussion is I remembered that he was in motocross, and I said, do you still have some of those trophies? And he said, yeah, some of them got thrown out when I left the house, but yeah, I've got some of them. And I said, do you have a favorite one? And if so, could you take that trophy and bring it and put it on your desk and either consciously or subconsciously remember, that's what I did. That doesn't mean that you go back in time, but have some gratitude and have some memory of how hard you worked in the past for the things you wanted and the success you had. And he said, that's a good idea. And I said, well, yeah, occasionally there's a good idea that comes from me. But he said, I can't put it on my desk. And I said, well, why is that? He says, because it's like 4 or 5 feet tall. I said, well, even better. Put it next to your desk, and you're going to look at that thing over and over again. And I've had many people who have said, it happens quite a bit in military guys. Back in my military, days, I was taking names and just doing incredible things, and I just don't have that same drive. So one of the things that helps that is certainly your why. Why is it that you want to do this? Oftentimes people have fallen into comfort zones where, well, if it works out, okay, but if it doesn't work out, it's not the end of the world. Where in a lot of the earlier cases, it was financially at least something that had to happen. So I would encourage you to think about that. Go back and think about the things you've accomplished in the past. Sometimes it's with respect to this process. I didn't think that I could build a board. I didn't think I could get professionals. People told me no. Be careful who you listen to as well. But go back and look at those experiences and rekindle in yourself the success you've had. And you'll think most of the time, well, you know what? That stuff didn't happen by accident. I had to put a lot of effort in. I ended up being successful in doing that. So yeah, I can do this. I can do this. And remember people like Tom Brady down 28-3. He's the reason he's a GOAT, but greatest of all time in American football. But you're not out. Temporary defeat is just that, temporary. Learn what needs to be done. Change what you're doing. Do more of what is working. But I would encourage you to think about, can you recapture your glory days, as I mentioned. And I'm going to put that image up here so that you can see that. If you want this image, email me, bruce@brucewhipple.com, and I'll send you the image. Maybe it'll help to keep as a picture or a reminder of this lesson. But yes, go back, think about the successes, think about the temporary defeat as temporary. How can I work harder? How can I work smarter? And what can I accomplish? And again, he was a VIP Mastermind member. If you want to join, there's a couple of spots, as I mentioned. Just go over to the coaching on brucewhipple.com. Understand the details there, the time commitment, the cost commitment, and then email me, because I don't let people into that until I talk to them. I want to make sure that they're going to be a good fit for that program. But on that note, I hope you had a good holiday. 2025 is around the corner. Think about what has to change in 2025 and then recommit yourself to doing those things so that you're successful or more successful if things have been going well in 2025.